Welcome back to another episode of Local Search Tuesdays. This week I've got a really awesome presentation about local link building to share with you. Last week I was over in the UK for Brighton SEO again. I've been speaking there twice a year for 9 years now. This trip was a special one because my mom went with me. She'd heard me rave about the conference for years, so she decided to fly over and see me speak there. I rocked an awesome session about local link building tactics, so as always, I'm sharing it with you today. This is the fast and furious guide to real-world link building. You know who I am because you're watching my video series, but I always like to point out for first-time watchers that you can watch this video series every week on our blog at searchlabdigital.com/blog. And I'm lucky enough to get to speak at conferences all over the world. And sometimes you see speakers that, maybe aren't as engaging to watch. They stand locked behind the podium. They have their back to the crowd. The back of their slide is plain white with black font, and it's usually Arial. And they pack each slide with bullet points, and they just sit there and read bullet points. So it's not very engaging. Plus, it's a scientifically proven fact that bullet points kill kittens. So today we're keeping the kitties safe. And for those of you that haven't seen me share a presentation before, I'm obsessed with movies. I actually have 23 different movies tattooed on my body. So I always love to share my love of movies with my love of talking about digital marketing. So there's always a theme, and today's theme is car movies. And typically I go back and include at least one movie for every year in the last 50 years. But this time we're going back 61 years because, hey, come on, if we're doing car movies, you gotta do all the James Bond films. So for the more obscure or older stuff, you may not know what it is. There is attribution over to the side. So not only will you learn some awesome stuff about building great links, you'll have a really kick-ass list of movies to watch afterwards. So let's get going. Why the long face? Are you spending too much time looking up at competitors that are ranking higher in search results? Are you wondering, dude, where's my site? Or maybe you feel like you're hanging on to your visibility for dear life, or that your competitors are murdering you in search results. Today, I'm going to give you a peek underneath Google's hood and share a lot of tips that are for your eyes only. Get it? I'm going to show you how to stand out and grab attention because you've got more links than your competitors, so you show up better in search results. So just like a fat guy in a little coat, I got to squeeze it in a ton of stuff. So if you're expecting one of the normal link building presentations you may have seen at other conferences or in other webinars or videos, you're going to be disappointed because this ain't the same bullshit. Let's be honest, most of those presentations, they don't really help because most of the time it's just an agency sitting on stage bragging about the work that they've done, or even worse, it's just a thinly veiled sales pitch of somebody that's trying to sell you some links. They always talk about how they've got this massive budget and they spend all this time and effort and they got hundreds of, maybe even thousands of links off of something, but that information just doesn't apply to 95% of the businesses out there. Now, I got to be honest with you, link building sucks. We all hate it, but it doesn't have to suck. If you use the right strategies, the right tactics, or have the right ideas, you can actually rock link building. Now, most businesses out there need local SEO, but they don't realize that they need to be optimizing for a different algorithm. But even if you don't need local SEO, you can still use the unique link building tactics that we use in local SEO to get some awesome links. Think of it this way. If you change your perspective and do things differently, you'll be able to do better work for your clients or for your own website if you're in-house. So we've got to stop obsessing over the domain authority of links, and we've got to stop trying to win awards with the links that we're getting and the clients we're working for. I always like to boil things down to simple concepts. And if you really think about it, all Google is a really advanced pattern detection program, which means we need unique links to win. You've got to have a unique pattern. So we want to use different tactics to beat our competitors. And the best links in local SEO are the links that are based on relationships that have real world value beyond just SEO. And the easiest way to get those local links is to just get involved in the local community. So talk to your client. Take advantage of things that they're already doing in the community for awesome link opportunities. And talk to your client and take advantage of relationships that already exist. The most important tip I can share with you today is to just be creative and don't do things like everybody else. Because checklist link building Never works well. So I'm going to run you through some ideas before we talk about the process side of things. These are a little bit of a different take than what you're used to when we're talking about link building, which is typically make an infographic or make a piece of content and do outreach. Local sponsorships are great. Google is not okay with you buying links, but Google's totally okay with you buying a sponsorship that results in a link. So 5Ks, golf tournaments, Pee Wee football, Little League, things like that are awesome opportunities to get amazing local links. Or local charities. Maybe you're not sponsoring an event, but you're supporting a local charity that you want to support. That's an opportunity to get a link. Or volunteer opportunities. You're not donating money, you're donating time. Maybe you're feeding the homeless at the local soup kitchen, or you're doing highway cleanup or something like that. They're all opportunities to get awesome links. Local meetups are great too. I like to use meetup.com or Facebook groups, and you look for local groups in the area that have regular monthly meetings. And there's two big tactics here. Number one, if you've got a conference room or a kind of a lounge waiting area where you could offer that space to groups that have a regular monthly meeting, maybe when you're not open or just when you're not using that particular area of your office, offer it to those people. They've got Wi-Fi, they've got a screen or a TV. It's great. And all they have to do is give you a link out of it. Cool. Awesome local link. Or you don't want to offer space, just look for groups that are looking for meeting sponsors. You throw in 40 or 50 bucks a month to buy their soft drinks and their snacks, and boom, awesome local link. Find any way you can to get local bloggers to write about you. Even if they say they got a free widget for writing about your widget company, who cares? You get an awesome local link. Even if it doesn't seem like the blog is related to what you do, maybe it's a travel blogger and you're not in travel, but that blogger lives in your town, it's still a relevant local link. Join all the local business associations you can find. Better Business Bureau, Chamber of Commerce, those are the most commonly known ones, but there's going to be a business association in every city for every vertical. So join them. Yeah, it costs a little bit of money each year, but it is totally worth it. And it actually brings you some referral business outside of the SEO value of things. Every city also has business directories. Join those directories, get listed. Most of the time it's free, and it's an awesome, locally relevant link. You can also use Google. So just use Google, do the searches, include your city and the different topics you're looking for. Google's going to spit out a huge list of opportunities for links that you can go and grab. And notice the two that are colored in blue at the top have the in URL colon. That is what's called a search operator. It's like a filter for search results. So if you were to do Dallas in URL sponsorships, that's going to look for Dallas-based websites, where in the actual URL of the page, it has the word sponsorship. So it's a great way to kind of filter out your results and dig into things that are a little bit better for an opportunity. Localized blog content does work really well here too. So if you were to write a post about how you love to go out and grab burgers every Friday, and here are your 5 favorite burger places in town. Once you've mentioned those local businesses, you can turn around and do outreach afterwards, and boom, more local links. Remember to think outside of the box, because every business can get links, and every business has unique link opportunities. So for example, if you're working with car dealers or attorneys or maybe doctors, child seat installation is killer. In the US, you can go to cert.safekids.org, sit through a couple of day training class, and be officially certified as somewhere that anyone in the community can come to get their child seats correctly installed in their cars when they have babies. You get linked from multiple local and state level safety websites once you do this. Or if it's applicable, you can get great links from local directories of businesses owned by certain ethnicities or people from certain countries. And these exist in every market. You may not know about them, but they're there. So if it applies, go get listed. And kind of in the same vein, there are LGBTQIA plus directories in every city of businesses that are either owned by or friendly to LGBTQIA plus individuals. So these are really killer links that, again, you're thinking outside the box, getting links that your competitors don't have. And also, here's another one I really love. I'm not talking about the clubs or organizations that the business is involved in. Talk to the staff about what they're passionate about and what they do in their free time. Because if they're a part of some local club or organization, around a hobby or something like that, it's usually pretty easy to get linked, especially if they're in the leadership group of that organization. But let's move on and talk a little bit about the actual process of building links, what you actually need to do, because nobody ever talks about this, right? Everybody's just like, here's how to go build a bunch of links and get some links, but they don't actually tell you what the process is. So you want to make sure that you're not unfocused in your efforts. If you're kind of just up in the air and you just kind of do whatever willy-nilly, you're not going to be very productive. So you want to have a documented link building process or some sort of a framework that your team can follow so that they stay on track. Plus, if you've got that documented process, you're able to more easily check on what your team is doing and make sure that they are producing and doing things well. Plus, management is going to come in and want to audit the quality of work periodically as well, and it's really hard to do if everybody's doing things differently. So you want to start with the research phase, and then once you've identified opportunities, you want to figure out which links you're going to go after. You try to go after those links, and then you're going to do the outreach and go get those links. You won't get all of them, but that's where you're figuring out which ones you get and you don't. And then you just rinse and repeat. Start the whole process over again and reiterate. At Search Lab, we run these campaigns on a quarterly basis. Doesn't necessarily mean Q1, Q2, Q3, but 3-month period of time. So we spend 8 to 10 weeks on research and prospecting, and then we spend the last 2 to 4 weeks on outreach and acquisition of those links. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, if you're only doing outreach and acquisition at the end, that means you're not getting links every month. And yeah, that's true. You don't have to get links every month. It's okay if you go a month or two without getting links. As long as you're getting links after that, you don't want to go 6 months without getting links. But it's okay not to get them every month if you're getting quality links. So let's dig in a little bit and talk about the research phase, what you need to be doing. You want to make sure you're asking the right questions when you start working with the new client. We've got an awesome link building questionnaire that I'm sharing with you here. It's 3 or 4 pages that will uncover lots of cleanup opportunities of things that had already happened and low-hanging fruit for links that you can grab really quickly because it's based on things that have already happened in the past. And it also helps you prioritize your link building efforts based on what the business prioritizes as the things that matter to them the most. And when you're doing your research on links, it's better to pull your link profile from multiple link tools because the link tools are not infallible. And sometimes there's as much of a 20 to 25% difference in the links that get detected by these link tools. So if you use multiple tools and then deduplicate that compiled list, you get a more accurate view of your true link profile. And when you're doing your research into your inbound links, you want to make sure you're not really concentrating as much on the total number of links that you have. And it's more about the total number of unique linking domains, because once you get a link from a website, there's diminishing return for getting more and more links. I was just talking to a car dealer last week and talking about their links. And they said, well, geez, why did we get a bad link score on this little audit that you did? Because we've got 16,000 links. And I said, well, yeah, you've got 16,000 links from only about 100 websites. So that's not as powerful as having links from 200 websites or 300 websites. So pay more attention to the number of linking domains. But once you've pulled your links, you then want to use your link tools of choice to pull your competitors' link profiles. And then you just want to look for opportunities. But remember, Google is pattern detection. You got to have unique links if you want to win. So you don't want to just copy your competitors because then nothing's unique, but it's a great place to start a link building campaign with a new client because typically those links are easy to get. Plus you devalue that link for your competitor because if the competitor has it and you don't, it's unique for your competitor. So then if you go get the link, it's no longer unique for your competitor. So it may not help you as much, but now it's not helping your competitor. And then you want to move on and use other tactics like the ones I walked through, or broken link building or link reclamation or any of the things like that. But remember to think outside the box even more. Look at link profiles for similar businesses that are in other cities that you're not competing with, but look for patterns and things that they're doing that you probably wouldn't have uncovered if you stayed in your own little competitive bubble. And think outside the box even further And look at unrelated businesses and other verticals that you're not even competing with, because you want to look for new patterns. And then you want to compile a spreadsheet of all of the link opportunities that you're uncovering through this research phase. You want to list all of the details for each opportunity, including the source site that's going to be sending you the link, the cost of the link, the time frame. Is this a link you can get immediately, or this is for a sponsorship that's not happening for the next 6 months, or this is something that this page gets refreshed every year? You want to pay attention to that stuff. And you even want to dig up the contact info. And yes, I am telling you to dig up the contact info before you do the outreach, because if you've ever done outreach before, it's never the first person you call. You're going to call one person that says, oh, you need to call Steve. And you call Steve, and Steve says, yeah, you got to call Karen. You call Karen, and she'll say, well, you got to call Susie. And then you'll call Susie, and she'll say, you got to call Jim. And then you finally talk to Jim, and Jim's the right guy. So you want to figure that out beforehand, so you're not wasting time when it's time to do your outreach. It's also important to think about the target page on your website that the link is going to point to, in case you have the opportunity to dictate which page on your site that link is going to point to. As you're doing this, if you come across a free link, something that you can get immediately without having to spend money or time or effort, go ahead and grab it. You don't have to wait until the end of the research phase if you're finding a link that you can grab quickly. But at the end of that research phase, you want to decide which links you're going to actually go after. So if you need approval, you want to show that list to your client or your boss, explain the value of the opportunities, and then let them choose. Now, if you have the ability to choose yourself, obviously just do that. But then it's time for the outreach phase. A phone call is always best. You're going to get much better return from your effort if you do a phone call. But sometimes you've got to do an email. Now, live, I did this presentation right after BB did an epic presentation on outreach emails. If you're watching the recording of this, you definitely want to go check out her presentation, because it was amazing. Plus the graphics are like the coolest graphics I've ever seen. But regardless, please don't send bad emails like this. So this one, hey, I'm the community outreach editor for this person. We're locals to the surrounding areas within this, and we're fans of your bar. And we included a feature, and you have a well-done site. We'd be grateful if you could add an excerpt from our article and link back to your site. Like, you're asking them to include an excerpt from the article and to do a link back. Doesn't make sense. Or this one, like, hi, TNDO, thanks for mentioning this business on your page. And then they link to that page. And I'm reaching out to you because we recently updated our site, and we're wondering if it'd be possible for the link from the word, which is the name of the business, which you're telling them how to link to you, which is not great. So your readers want to know more about what we do. The thing is, this is not an actively managed website. TNDO is literally just a compilation site of all of the printed specials that come out in that particular area. So it was completely boneheaded to send an email to a site that is not managed human content. It's just an aggregate of other specials. Or this one with great English in it. We are requesting that you return the favor and post a link to our above blog featuring you as a return link to our website. Like, it just makes no sense. You got to really think about this stuff. Now, I spoke at a conference a few years ago, and an attorney asked for help after he saw me speak, and he knew how SEO worked, but he was confused that he had 3 times as many links as his local competitor, who consistently outranked him on every single query that mattered. So I figured I'd graph out their links based on domain authority, not based on how many links they had, but just on the domain authority of each of the sites. Even though I said to ignore it earlier, the reason I did it is because this guy used Moz and he was familiar with the tool set, and I wanted to point out that he was getting crappy links. So the guy in red is the guy I was talking to. The guy in blue is the dude who had fewer links. And notice the guy in blue's links skewed to a domain authority above 50. So I broke it down even further, and you can see that about 65% of the guy in blue's links were higher authority than 70, versus almost 60% of the guy in red's links were below 50. So basically, the guy in red was getting crappy links from SEOdirectory.com and SEOXYZ.com, and the guy in blue was getting legitimate links, and that's why he was winning. Now, if the guy in red had been getting local links, the graph would have looked the same, but he would have been winning. Now, if you'd like to do the same thing, you can. Just download Greg's Badass Link Building Worksheet at the link right there. I have updated it to work with SEMrush as an export for links, since that tends to be the tool that most people are using. So you'll need your link export from last month and your link export from this month and one competitor's links. You drop it in and the worksheet will automatically display those graphs based on link authority. It will also list link gap opportunities where they have links and you don't by root domain. It will also list any links that were quote unquote lost since the previous month, since those tools don't always crawl the same sites. It also includes that link info worksheet with all of the data that I said you needed to dig up and list for any of the opportunities that you discovered. So if you change your perspective, you'll be able to get better unique links. Thanks for taking that crazy ride with me today. I've given you the key to link building success. So now when you're having to go do link building, you're not going to want to go jump off a cliff, and you'll instead win the race to the top of search results. Thanks. That was the fast and furious guide to real world link building. If you have any questions, pop me an email. I'd be glad to answer them. Or if you'd like a copy of the slides, I can send them over because, as always, at the end, there's a list of all of the movies by order of release date. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for sticking around to watch the whole presentation. That's definitely all the time we've got left for this week's episode, so you know what that means. Put your hand on the screen right here. We totally just high-fived because you learned something awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of Local Search Tuesdays.